しているわけではあるまい。私にも挽回が。
Yo! But Sylphie though, yo, that fits. God dang. Let's talk about Mushoku Tensei episode 12 of season 2. Or was it episode 11? Anyways, I haven't made a video on this channel about Mushoku Tensei in a while. I promise you guys, when I make a video, especially about Mushoku Tensei, it's gonna be heartfelt, and I'm not gonna just milk you guys for views. I gotta have something to say. And this time, I got something, guys. And it was how heartfelt and beautiful the episode was, and it was unlike anything that I've seen in media. Now, before we get into it, a lot of the things that make Mushoku Tensei great, and when I explain it, are the talking points that the people who don't watch Mushoku Tensei actually need to hear. But unfortunately, that's where my inspiration is. So sometimes y'all gotta listen to it, and then you might have a talking point or argument for the people out there in the world. So here's the thing. One of the things that made the episode... Let me actually first start off with how they set the tone, and then I'll go into Sylphie. First of all, they set the tone very well because I was coming into it from a comedic point, especially with wrestling over the fact of Fitz being a he, right? And then finding out that it's a she. We knew that. Rudy knew that. So I was looking forward to more jokes because that whole exchange was funny up until that episode. So as I was continuing on with the jokes, at the very beginning, you know, you see Rudy storm off, cry, and the intro starts. So from that very moment, it set the tone that, we're not dealing with shenanigans. We're not dealing with jokes. Like, this is serious. And even that execution is very good, especially in a real life situation. Because you know it's your homie, and every now and then something happens, and the guy's like, oh yeah, but you know, fuck that girl though, right? Hey, and you look at your homie, and he's crying. It's like, oh, nah, he's serious. This is not a time to joke around, guys. Like, that happens in real life. So it's nice for the author to be able to set that tone and get you to be ready for how heartfelt and sweet the episode was going to be. So now I'm going to go on to the part where the people who don't watch Mushoku Tensei need to hear this, but part of the charm with that episode is how they utilize inappropriateness or things that might make you feel uneasy, turn it into something heartfelt, and really turn it into something of meaning. So the time that Rudy didn't know that Sylphie was a she from the very jump, they re-brought that whole entire storyline into the episode and made it something beautiful. Even Sylphie's friends were like, yo, why do you like him? And she went to repeat the wild story of how we found out that Sylphie was a she to begin with. And when you're listening to it, it's like, he made you take your clothes off? Now let's pause real quick. When I first saw that in season 1, I was very uncomfortable because, like, you're forcing someone to take off their clothes, or you're urging them to take off their clothes. I already figured that it was a girl, I assumed, right? That's how I remember it. But even if it wasn't a girl, it's a little weird forcing someone to take their clothes off. We don't have to worry about that. The reason why I'm pointing it out, even though I'm talking to you Mushoku Tensei fans, and it's all love, when the reaction happened, I didn't really say too much about that scene, or I already moved on. We're in season 2. And then one of the comments was, oh, and by the way, Rudy didn't violate Fitz when they was younger because he thought it was a dude and he was just trying to help out of the clothes. And I'm like, whoa. I'm so ready to move on. Okay, I'm so ready to act like, you know, nothing happened and make a joke out of this and laugh, right? But no one commented about the scene in this video, in our reaction video. No one made an issue of it. So when that's the first thing you want to say, I start looking at y'all funny, right? Yo, I start looking at y'all funny because, like, no one is even saying that, but you're really going to defend the point. It's not something to defend. Let's just laugh about it and move on, because objectively it's supposed to be a wild scene that ended up being wholesome. But don't try to act like it wasn't wild when it first happened. Like, yo, don't force me out my clothes. Anyways, that's why I be looking at people funny sometimes, because we can all enjoy the media, but sometimes defending certain actions is like, really though? I'm ready to laugh. I'm ready to call this inappropriate. I'm ready to say we have a dark sense of humor. But let's remember, dark sense of humor, and emphasis on dark. So going forward, I don't want to spend too much time on that because it was a wholesome moment. She went back to that moment and was, oh, I want to. And when they're asked, what do you want to do with Rudy? Like, make it clear what's your intentions. I want to have babies. I want to have lots of babies. Oh, babies. I'm like, yo! And she was so, I was like, but she's cannot imagine her like that. But them quiet ones, they the biggest freaks out there. I'm telling you, those quiet ones are the biggest freaks. You know why the quiet ones are the freaks? Because they sit and they observe. They observe everything. They're just taking in info. They're not spending their time talking, missing information like me. They listen, right? So she's listening. She was with Rudy with all that freak shit, right? So she's finally in a setting of people that she's comfortable with, and she just let all of it out. And you're like, damn, that's what's on your mind. Anyway, this up this beautiful ass date to go get Rudy to be alone. I know what she's doing. But the episode was really beautiful because Rudy don't got a damn clue, but Rudy's so smart. Like when they did the whole cloud thing, right? And he put it out, he's like, yo, I could tell that someone was manipulating the weather. And I think that Fitz do too. So I think he nervous, or she nervous, but I'm going to be ready for him. Look, I'm sweating. I'm so passionate. Anyways, I'm going to be ready for him. And it's like, nah, the ops is right there in the cave. Fitz is setting you up, but he couldn't believe it. The dude was doubting himself as much as Sylphie was doubting herself. The two of them, Rudy, once he figured out Rudy, it was actually easier for Rudy to like approach Mr. Fitz as a man. He got the confirmation that Mr. Fitz is a woman. He's like, dim out. I don't think I can uncover this secret. I'm just going to leave Mrs. Fitz alone, or Ms. Fitz. And Fitz is like, I don't even think Rudy remembers me. So I'm not even going to try. They were both operating from insecurity. So shout out to Sylphie for being the one to step forward and get this done. So anyways, as she's making her moves and trying to set up the right scene, Rudy is just kind of like messing it up unknowingly. I thought once the staff came out that it was going to ruin the scene because I forgot who gave him the staff. I was thinking that Roxy gave him the staff. It was actually Eris. So I'm just doing storytelling, telling you how much I like this episode. I'm super, super, super hype. I've been waiting to tell you guys for this for days. Anyways, we get to the cave, man. And then we repeat the exact, it took a while to get there, but we repeat the exact scene, line for line, about how we found out Sylphie was a she in the beginning, and Rudy still don't know. And that shit was just beautiful. You're just watching it unfold. You're like, yo, he still don't know. She's so freaking sweet. The gloves come off. Okay, it's really romantic. It's really sweet. I'm glad they didn't start smashing, at least from the anime perspective. You never know what happens in the novel, because I didn't want to see it. As much as I say it's beautiful, I don't want to see it, because Sylphie's such a sweetheart, and her body type, I don't want to see it. Let me not go into details. So what the anime did is they focused on taking off the gloves. It made it very romantic, and taking off the glasses and just looking at each other, and he's like, yo, are you Sylphie? And she's like, yeah, I'm Sylphie. Wholesome. A lot of people would have wanted something like that. Like a lot of people would say Mushoku Tensei would be great if it didn't have some of the things that it has in there, like the inappropriateness, the stuff that Rudy does. And the thing is, it's like, if Mushoku Tensei didn't have those things, then it wouldn't be freaking Mushoku Tensei. It'd be some other rom-com isekai that you're into, right? This is one of the things that make it unique, and you can't take that out. An analogy I want to use is like, well, my girl, she's Mexican, right? So when she first started cooking me meals, it was really spicy. And I'm a Jamaican, but they put jalapenos and habaneros and everything. Oh my God. I probably shouldn't say that. I'm going to get canceled. I'm sorry. So, but my wife does. How about that? My wife does. I'm not going to talk about a whole group of people and get myself canceled, right? Yeah. Let me not do that. So anyways, what was I saying? Oh, yes. So I would ask her, I'm like, this is a little too spicy for me. Could you take that out? I reduce the heat. And you know what happened when she reduced the heat? It changed the whole flavor profile. The food was less enjoyable. So part of getting the full joy of that food was to go through that spicy heat. That kind of, it made me a little uneasy. But as I got through the meal, there was so much fulfillment. So I'm trying to tell you guys that Mushoku Tensei is very similar to spicy Mexican food that you're not used to, especially as a first timer. But once you get used to that heat, or you get through the heat, you're going to find yourself a very delicious meal. And you can't remove the heat, otherwise you're going to miss a key part of the flavor. Even going to my Jamaican roots, every now and then the oxtail, it needs just the right amount of spice, otherwise it tastes too sweet. It depends on who makes the oxtail. Sometimes a sweet oxtail for Jamaicans, right? And without the spice, without that kick, it just comes off as sweet. everyone makes different oxtails, but I like the sweeter one. So when you have the right amount of sweetness and spice, it's delicious. Spice without the sweetness is just killing you, and sweetness without the spice is just sweet. But the two of them together, beautiful compliment. And that's what Mushoku Tensei is. That's the formula that makes it different. So, like, when anyone asks for, oh, I want this to be out of it, or it could have been this, it could have been great. No, it couldn't have. I mean, in theory, it could have, but it's a whole different type of formula, and you're getting that. How much rom-coms are out there? Go watch Bunny Girl Senpai. Go watch Quintuplets, right? Go watch ReZero. We got Overlord. We got Eminence and Shadow. We got to make these things different. The last thing is, a lot of people virtue signal. They're getting mad at things they don't need to be upset about. I'm going to give you another real life example since people want to use real life. If someone slaps me in the face and I forgave, I move on and they're my homie, right? There's no need for you to be upset and say, oh, but he slapped you in your face. I'm like, I don't care. Like, we got over that. We moved on. That's my best friend now. So why are you upset? Everything that Rudy has done that has been uncomfortable, every single thing, the parties love and appreciate Rudy, and they're moving on. So it's like, who are you upset about? Are you upset that it happened? Because we all do things that other people don't like, right? So you're just getting upset for yourself. You're not getting upset for the characters, or if this was a real life scenario. They love him. They adore him. These are people who would risk their lives for him in many cases. The best example I have of that is the maid. The maid was appalled by Rudy growing up and seeing his little antics, right? But I forgot when the change happened, if she observed him over the years, or the fact that he came and saved her and saved her daughter, who was actually his sister, right? That's when she was like, nah, he's that dude. I saw a lot of weird, questionable things, but when it comes down to it, ain't no one gonna risk their life to save me like he did. So I'm over it. And that's another point I want to go into. A lot of you guys who may not have watched the series, and a lot of people, because if you're listening to this, you watched the series. So I'm helping you with your talking points. A lot of people who virtue signal, oh, Rudy is this, oh, Rudy is that. They live such a righteous life. A lot of them, I will never see them risking their life for a loved one. I will never see them risking their life for a borderline stranger. You know, Rudy, they skipped a lot of scenes, but when he was in the Quagmire episode, or the Quagmire mode, he did a lot of good, going out of his way to help people that a lot of other people would not do. Most of us don't go out of our way to help people in the way that Rudy has. And then he has questionable behavior on the back end. So he's just not a perfect person. And, you know, sometimes, like, for example, I believe in God. I believe in Christ. So I have to be careful how I say this. I don't label myself as a Christian because I'm not a good example of a Christian. And what I'm about to say may not help things. But what I'm going to say is, a lot of times it's the super religious, the super holier than thou, that tend to be some of the worst people, because they tend to be some of the most judgmental types, right? And a lot of times it's some casual atheist, or just somebody who just believes, but they just live their life according to their own thing. Then they tend to be a good person. Like, religiously, now I'm going on the deep end. Now it got serious. It was, from a biblical aspect, as a Christian, or as a person who believes in God, it was the religious people that persecuted Christ. The commoners didn't give a damn. They was just living their life. They didn't care. It's the scribes and the Pharisees, the people that believe in the scriptures, the holier than thou people that accused this innocent man of blasphemy, claiming to be God, whatever charges they made up, and they killed him. It was the holier than thou people. So by the books, by what everyone would know, very good, righteous, upstanding people. But they murdered Christ, if that's what you believe. I happen to believe that. They murdered Christ. But the reason I bring that up is because I know that people live certain lifestyles and they project holiness and they're good and they're that, and they judge other people for their faults. I know this is just an anime, but I'm only mentioning this because people are adding their real life values for a reason to not like the show. So then I have to talk about real life stuff. So then they want to judge this character and not see that this character is a flawed person who is going through a journey, and it's not a bad person. Just has pervy habits. And on the pervy habits is my ending point. See, once you accept the notion of reincarnation, nothing that Rudy does is questionable, because in a reincarnated world, all of us are souls of God knows how old, but we forget our memories in a reincarnation world. And that is a common faith. That is a common belief in Buddhism, that you get reincarnated. The difference with Rudy is that he keeps his memories when he was reincarnated. And in all other forms of reincarnation that you would believe in the spiritual sense, you don't keep your memories, so nothing is weird. It gets weird when you get reincarnated and you keep your memories and you're like, damn, well, now we are in a pickle. But none of our laws, ethics, or the way we lived our lives for the last 34 years takes into account what happens when someone is reincarnated and keeps their memories of the previous life. What I'm saying is that boy is 10 years... No, I'm going to use girls. It's way easier for me. That girl is 10 years old, okay? And she kept her memories, so she's really like 40, and she is preying on another 10-year-old boy, right? So that's really a 40-year-old woman preying on a 10-year-old boy. That's wrong, right? And it's like, nah, she's 10. Like, she's 10, but she has her memories. That boy is probably older than her spiritually, but he forgot. So that's just it, right? And then they have those shows when they're couples, or this happens in real life. You guys are a couple, the other person forgot who they were, and you're still married, but they don't remember their previous lifetime because they had an accident and they lost their memories. What do you do? So you can't apply too much of real life to this Mushoku Tensei scenario, because these are things that don't exist in our real world, and we were never mentally prepped for it, and we don't need to be. It's a fantasy show. It's just fiction. It's not real. Certain things, don't overthink it. Just laugh about it and move on. That's just me venting, because obviously if you guys watch this, you appreciate it. Anyways, I really, really love this episode. Really love the episode. Mushoku Tensei is definitely staying on my top 5. The reason why I'm saying that is because somebody has to go for me to add Kimetsu, Working God in a Godless World. I have to add that to my top 5, and I don't know who to get rid of. I can't get rid of Mushoku Tensei, and I cannot get rid of Eminence and Shadow. That's all I got right now. Thanks for watching. I post reactions early on Patreon. We got a YouTube channel. We also got a gaming channel. I appreciate anyone who supports the gaming channel. I'm going to put that in the link of this video. I'm active on Twitter. I'm active on Instagram. Y'all know the deal. I'm out this mug. And you know I couldn't stop with one channel. Be sure to check out the YaBoyRocklee subsidiary channels in the description of this video. Much love, guys.